This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So I recently heard, Matt, that Prime Day is coming up here in October.
That's right.
So Prime Day
on Amazon.
But I thought that already happened.
Well, it seems like it started out that way. It was 1 or 2 days a year, and now because of its popularity, it's been evolving and growing to where I think they do it 2 to 3 times a year. So there's one coming up in October where people get really excited. It's like Black Friday, but it's Black Friday in October, and you find some really good deals. Anywhere from like 30 to 50% off.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
but that makes sense. But what's happening in real estate is in 2024, we might see a second, prime type of a day.
Oh, wow.
because what's happening is typically when you think about buying or selling a home, it's later in the spring, early in the summer is typically when the market peaks.
That's what I heard. It's like after the Super Bowl, all the way up until sometime in summer is when people are out there. They're out of school, right? They're maybe have more available time to shop around and look for a new house.
Exactly. And so they tend to do it, like the market tends to peak earlier than most people think. It's late May, early June.
Really? Is that early?
It's that early, and then it slowly tapers off on average, typically in our market.
Why is that?
I don't know. I could throw ideas out there, but at the end of the day, nobody really knows. It's just the cyclical nature of the market. Because you would think once people are out of school, but what happens is I think oftentimes people are out of school and they go on trips, or their kids are going, like they have other summer activities taking place, and buying a home just doesn't rank high on the list.
So now what you're saying is the fall season is another time when it's a prime time for real estate?
I mean, when I say it slows down, it's not like it just drops off after June, right? It just slowly declines, and you sometimes see a bump in October. But why this fall might be the best time to buy a house, in 2024 or maybe even in 2025, is because interest rates are coming down.
Oh, that's right.
And so there's a lot of people that have been on the fence about wanting to purchase a home because interest rates have been so high. They've already dropped over 1%, and they're predicted to drop maybe even more in coming months. And so with every % drop in an interest rate, that opens up 10% of your buyer pool. So if you're a seller, now there's 10% more people who are able to afford your property. And so for every % drop, that's a significant segment of the market that's unlocked. And what that means for sellers as well is many sellers are wanting to sell their home and then buy another home. But they don't want to give up their interest rates that they've locked in, years ago, to then go out and buy a more expensive home at a higher interest rate. And so with these interest rates coming down, what's predicted to happen is the fall might be the best time to get a deal because there's going to be less competition. There's not going to be that typical cyclical market that you see in the late spring, early summer.
Less competition for buyers or sellers?
For buyers purchasing a home.
Okay.
Right? And honestly for sellers, because there's going to be fewer homes on the market. Most people don't think about listing their home in the fall or in the winter because they, or have been conditioned to think spring, late spring, early summer is the best time. And what might end up happening, though, is if interest rates do drop and they stay low, then in spring, when it does kick off, you're going to see tons of buyers coming out of the woodwork, which means all these buyers are going to be fighting over the same inventory, and you're going to see sellers, putting their homes on the market, which means now the sellers are going to be competing for those buyers. There might be 3 for sale signs on the same street. So now you and your neighbors are all competing over, granted, more buyers, but you're still competing.
Interesting.
That makes sense?
Yeah. So what you're saying is a lot of folks are thinking about getting ahead of the wave.
Yep.
This October, they're going to get a better deal because when spring comes, get ready.
Yep.
It's going to be a madhouse.
It's going to be a madhouse, hopefully, right? That's what we're hoping.
Depending on whether or not interest rates continue to fall.
Because it's basically a function of affordability.
Right.
Right. If interest rates fall, then people can afford a higher purchase price.
Yeah.
And that the higher the purchase price, typically the nicer the community. Like you're getting more of the amenities you want in a home. And so if interest rates continue to drop and stay low, then there's going to be just a feeding frenzy because there's all this pent up demand. Imagine a rubber band, stretched to the limit.
Right.
People have been wanting to move for years or purchase a home for years, but have just been in a holding pattern waiting for this moment. And now that rubber band's about to snap, so break free. So this fall could be the Amazon Prime Day of real estate.
Wow, interesting. Do you think it'll affect prices?
So,
or do you think prices will just remain the same?
So my crystal ball has a few cracks in it. We'll just lead with that. But what people are saying is that initially prices will drop because there'll be this flood of inventory. Sellers are freaking out because as their neighbors are going on, they're worried that they're not going to be able to sell their house. They might be willing to take a haircut just to get the property sold so they can capitalize on these lower interest rates and move into the next property. So in the short term, prices might dip a little bit, but long term they're going to go back up. So if you're waiting for, hey, there's going to be a wave of foreclosures or prices are too high, they're going to crash. That's what they've been saying since the dawn of like residential real estate. Like a dear mentor of mine, good friend Brent Gove, likes to joke about how he was selling property in Natomas for $93,000, and people were saying, "There's no way. That's basically $100,000. You overpaid for that house. You're never going to get your money out of that house." And now those homes are going for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 or more.
Yeah.
And so long term, the prices are going to go up. It's really, and we've had this conversation before about is a home a good investment, but basically, are prices going up, or is the value of your money going down?
That's a great question.
I think it's a little bit of both. But if real estate is a hedge against inflation, so as your dollar decreases in value, the price of home, the number of dollars needed to purchase a home increase. And so really your home it might outpace inflation slightly, but really is the home going up or is your money just being worth less?
Okay, so bottom line, what is your advice for folks that are thinking about putting their home on the market? And what is your advice for those that, like you said, have been waiting for those interest rates to drop? What is your advice for those folks?
If you're thinking about making a move, do it now. If you're thinking about selling a house, do it now. If you're thinking about buying a house, do it now. And the reason why is, let's say you're purchasing a home and interest rates continue to fall. Well, that's totally fine. But as interest rates fall, prices are going to go up. So if you purchase a home now, you can lock in that purchase price, and then you can always refinance later. Like our lender, JJ Mack, they have a streamlined refinance program where it doesn't cost you a penny to refinance. So if interest rates do come down, just refinance when they come down to a point that makes sense to you, refinance for free, and then you've still had all that time to capitalize on the growing equity in the property.
That's smart.
Right. So if you're looking to buy, do that. If you're looking to sell, it's the same process because you have to sell your house. You might sell your house for a little bit less, but then you're going to buy the next property and you're going to ride the appreciation wave because it doesn't matter what the market's doing right now. It matters what the market is going to be doing in 5, 7, 10 years when you sell the property. And so if it makes sense for you to sell the house right now and buy your replacement property, do that so that we can start building the equity in that replacement property. So when you do go to sell it in 5 to 10 years, you have those margins there.
So you're advising that take advantage of these prime days in the fall, because come spring, of course you don't have a crystal ball, but it's going to be very competitive on both sides of the
absolutely.
And
if you're still nervous about it, just meet with a real estate agent. Contact our team. Just call us at 530-GET-MORE, and we'll do a pre-planning session with you. It doesn't cost anything. There's no risk to you. We don't run your credit. We just put together a game plan. We've had tons of conversations with people, and every single one of them is thankful they started the process sooner rather than later. The only time I ever hear regret is they say, "Hey, I wish I would have started this sooner." Right? And so just have the conversation. Reach out to us. 530-GET-MORE. Give us a call. Shoot us a text. We're happy to help.
Matt, there's something to be said about experience. I called my brother yesterday because my car was making this funny noise, and just describing it to him over the phone, he's like, "Oh, this is the problem. This is how you fix it." Didn't even have to see the car. And that's what I love about Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. They have the experience to be able to sell your home, not just quickly, but to get you the highest possible price.
That's right. They have a full staff dedicated to making your home selling process the easiest and most efficient it can be. That's why on average, they sell homes 27% faster and for a 3% higher selling price. Expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty, brokered by EXP. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.